Hey everyone, EGMAN here with another video, and today we have a top 32 breakdown for the My Hero Academia card game nationals that happened this past weekend. Normally I don't do coverage for My Hero Academia events, but this was their national event, and I was at this event, and I had a lot of fun, and I was interested in these deck lists in the first place, so I thought, why not just make a video while I'm at it? So that is why we are here today, and if you're new to my channel or to the My Hero Academia card game, first, if you guys want these lists, they are linked in the document in the description. This whole document is in there, so just hit that link and you will have access to this if you guys want to see any of the deck lists for it, as well as if you are just interested on a cursory glance for the My Hero Academia card game, I do recommend making an account for the game with my promo code, which is linked and described in the description. If you make an account with that code and is verified as working, you will get 50 points for Jasco promos that you can get on their shop and stuff. So again, it's free if you do that. And if you just want a promo card for free and you don't have an account for Jasco, just do that. I highly recommend it, and I would definitely appreciate it. So anyways, that's enough kind of talking about around the event. Let's talk about the event itself and why Kirishima 2 is like half of this pie chart, y'all. It is a strong character, and I don't know if he's necessarily the best Earth character, and obviously he did not win the event. Tokoyami got that, but it is very strong. Earth has a bunch of good options right now, and in general, I think Kirishima is just generically one of the best Earth characters because of it too, right? We do have other Earth characters that are at this event too, but most of them in this top 32 just had Kirishima in the side because they're like, you know what, Kirishima is pretty good, so why not just go back into it? It is, I don't know, it's just generically, I think it's a generically best Earth character right now. And because of that, a lot of people are running it because there's a lot of good Earth foundations and attacks, and it just worked out very well for them. But anyways, going into our top 32 breakdown, we did see 16 Kirishima 2s, 2 Tokoyami 1s, with one of them winning the event, 2 Jiros, 2 Momos, 2 Asuis, 2 Ochaco 2s, 2 Mineta 2s, 1 Kamui, 1 Ojiro 2, 1 Ojiro 2 is the only set 3 character that topped this event, which is wild that we have a whole new event. And I'm not sure if people are just, a little cautious. It's the largest event of the year of using anything new, at least character wise, but only one in the 32 is very interesting there. And then a Midnight 1 and Ochaco 1 with a total of 32 characters there for you guys. So that is just the cursor. We're going to go over the top placing character for each symbol. And if a character topped on more than one symbol, we'll talk about both decks real quickly. But there's a lot to go through. There's 13 different lists we're going to focus on today. And we're going to start with the first place list, which is Barrett Bryant's first place Chaos Tokoyami 1. Starting off, we have Barrett Bryant's first place Tokoyami 1. And this has just been, I kind of joined this game at the end of set 2, right? But I've always seen this character just do super duper well at what it does. And even though it only got 2 in the top 32, it is in a really strong spot right now. I think Chaos got a couple of new tools in set 3. Another Zero Foundation doesn't hurt anyone, especially even though we're in set 3. Some decks, like in some symbols, really only have like 1 or 2 zero cost foundations, so being able to have that is great. Easily Excited, another one, so that's 2 on Chaos. Feeling Cute, as well as 1 with Nature, which is probably one of the strongest cards in the set still, in my opinion. Not running it 4 is fine because you are running quite a few ways to get to it. And discarding 1 on a 7-hander to get +2 speed and +1 damage is usually pretty fine for what you're doing, and that's very good. Shiverless Competitor is also just an incredible card. Both players drawing a card doesn't really matter if your opponent's not going to be able to do any blocks. It just means you get to draw 1, and then they get, especially like when you end your turn, I don't know, it's good. And it has protection on flipping your own foundations, which is good. Petty Squabble as well, which you have to commit your character, which your character wants to be commit anyways. And fun fact with this card too, if you have 0 cards in hand, you get to just draw 2, which is just good for you. And that's pretty much all of the new cards from the foundation side. But we do have like Frozen Slash. If this has attack and speed and damage bonus, your next range gets +2/+2, which with the Summon Dark Shadow, you're always going to have that. So that's really nice. And then also Twisting Azure Inferno as well. So when you after you play an action, you get +2 damage on this guy, which is easy. But you don't even need to do that. You just have to have 7 damage for this for the Great Enhance with it, which the Dark Shadow already does. So it's, I don't know, if you have if you can get 2 of these off in one turn, which is not terribly difficult to do with this deck, you're good there. And then just kind of like these standard range attacks, we see a lot of this. Obviously, Crone Frog is good. Ice Storm, Giant Ice Wall, Frigid Heat Wave, and Dark Shadow Ruin, as well as the Indiscriminate Shock. Just all fantastically good cards for this deck. I don't know. It's really absurd how much value that this can get. How much consistency you can get. How much Dark Shadow can just consistently get you all the speed and damage you want, and get it pretty guaranteed for you, but able to play a card next to, which is very, very strong for it. So very strong deck. I'm gonna see, I don't know, nothing inherently, I think, besides I think Kirishima 2 I think needs adjusting right at this moment. I think Kirishima 2 is just probably too generic for what he is. I think that Tokoyami is really, really tough to play against sometimes, and sometimes they just have the gas, but it's I don't know, it's a very scary deck to play against, and I'd be interested to see if there's anything that changes with him moving forward. But again, congrats to Barrett on their first place finish with this list here. And next up, we have Tim Keefe's second place Air Jiro 2. And we did see some Air Jiro as well. This very strong, like being able to just get information with a deck like this is incredibly strong for what you're doing, and it does have, again, like another zero foundation means a lot for this, but not a lot of difference from the rest. This is pretty much a set 2 deck, but also Seizing the Advantage is a really, really strong card. Fun anecdote while we're at it. They brought 1,000 copies of this card to give out for promos, and they're all gone. And you had to spend Jasco points, which you can use with my promo code that we talked about earlier to get one if you don't already have an account, so you can get this card. Anyways, being able to forcibly choose which card that you are flipping face down for your opponent is great. Either if this card just if this didn't have form, next attack is speed +2, people would still play this card. And it does have that. So, I don't know. The response for this is insane for any deck, especially since you can flip whatever card you don't want, and you get to build a foundation early. So even though the next attack that you check, it's a +1 because of progressive for it, it's good. It's strong. It's I don't know. And I'm not sure they're going to change anything about it, but it is really absurd to see this because it's the way to play around anything. So I don't have much more than that. It is really interesting too. We also have dexterous appendages too. So commit, name any card type, discard the top card of your rival's deck if it matches. Your next attack gets +3 speed, and also response flip. If after any number of cards leave your deck due to rival's effect, add 1 card from your discard pile to the top of your deck. So this is just cute, being able to get +3 speed on your next one. It is a commit though, which kind of stinks, but I don't know. It's strong being able to get that advantage and that information, which Jiro is good too. And I do like the Toru as a. I don't know. I really like Toru too right now. I'm a little bit surprised I didn't get a top 32. It was seeing a lot of play from the testing that I've seen, and maybe that will change in the future. But this is a really strong card too. I don't know. That's what we're going to talk about this one. Congrats to Tim on their second place finish there. And next up, we have 2 top 4 decks. We're going to start off with Kevin Broberg's for a top 4 Life Momo. Kevin's been on Momo for a while. As far as I understand, I could be wrong for 100%, but as far as I know, he's been on Momo for a while. And Momo's great. And at the end of set 2, I 100% think that Momo was probably the best deck in the format, but it's a deck that takes a lot of knowledge. There's a lot of triggers. Then there's a lot of things that you can miss sequence with this deck. And I think that makes it fair for being in the best deck kind of position, right? I would say right now it is not as good. I think there's a couple I don't know. Earth is so good right now. Earth has a lot of great stuff for it, but Momo does still have a lot of the Momo things for it. But again, and we're going to see this for a lot of this too, there's not a lot of these set 3 cards in these formats, but I do like the little asset stuff going on here. So we do have Electromagnetic Stomp, which does have, lose 2 health, you get to ready an asset. So for example, when you build this card, go to committed, and then you can use that, you can use the form remove immediately because of it too, because you have Electromagnetic Stomp to ready the asset, which is nice. You can do that with Quick Creation, obviously, the Chic Cape, as well as the training weights. This is a really cute thing too that training weights lets you you commit it and then you uncommit it, and you can uncommit it for free off the electromagnetic stomp too. So I do like this this kind of neat little thing there. But you get some recursion from there and everything else with it. But I don't know, Momo. This is a really chunky list. Any Momo list, I would have to pretty much like talk to the person who played it to get a better understanding for it, because there's a lot that goes into it. This is obviously 70 cards, a 70 card list, which is thick on top of the 10 cards inside, and like a lot of like one-ofs, a lot of like 2 ratios. Like it's a solid list, and I don't know. I would have to, again, like sit down for like 30 minutes with the creator to kind of talk about it. And also, while we're talking about Momo, I do just kind of want to talk about the top 16 good Momo. So this is Jacob Johnson's list of it, just because we're already talking about Momo 1 here. And so this is on the good symbol. And I like a lot that's kind of in this too. So they're also playing Training Weights, which is really interesting, and Quick Creation, obviously. But like the addition of Command, Pitch, and Flock, as well as Friend of Animals. Command, I 100% think that this is a sleeper card in a lot of things. I've been playing a lot of Koji. I love it in Koji. But just the fact that you can just build a foundation for free, we already see that with Haymaker, and Haymaker is incredibly strong. But one of the fantastic ones that you get to do with it too is Friend of Animals. So you build this, and then you can commit it, which there's, if your deck is great at committing your own foundations, good. You get +2 speed on your attack for free. But also, if you remove this, you get to add 1 ally attack from your discard pile to your momentum for free as well. So that just means that if you need momentum for free, like this just says generate 1 momentum sometimes, like, which is silly for what it does, and just how good momentum is in a lot of decks that are on Chaos Good or Life right now. So other than that, and you can obviously play this in Life Momo as well, because it is on Life symbols, but I do want to just kind of point that out. Invisible Infiltration is still a nutty card too. Being able to just refresh any foundation that you want is very good, which means that like if you have like Cannon Blast coming out, you can refresh one that you need to and kind of go from there. And that also means like if you have like anything you flip that you need to unflip, it does that, which is great. So I don't know. I think this is another build of it. I like it on good. Like there's a lot of solid stuff for these picks, and I'm happy to see that there's some diversity in that too. So congrats to Jacob on their finish there. And then going into our other top 4, we finally get to talk about this Kirishima. And I will say, like, there are a lot of ways to build Kirishima on Earth. At least, like, I think a lot of these Kirishima 2 builds are just generically good Earth builds that could be on a couple different leaders, and we're going to see some other Earth builds that did just choose other leaders anyways and then just sided in the Kirishima 2. But we do have some strong cards that are coming out of this. Like, again, we already talked about Chivalrous, which is really good. Quick to Act, another 0 foundation where if your current health is less than half your maximum health, this gets +1 speed, which you just can keep going out on it. And Earth sometimes has some rough low blocks, so this being a low block is kind of nice. And then we do have the Petty Squall we talked about. Talented Baker is a fantastic card. I was playing Sato for this event, so I was playing Talented Baker in it because I was playing Earth Sato 1. If you guys want that deck list, let me know too. But just +1 speed for nothing. For nothing. If you drew a card and guess what? Your character draws you a card, so you just do it. And then you Talented Baker. And then every attack is generically +1 speed for the rest of the turn as well. Seizing the Advantage too, which we talked about, is solid at the game. And here's the thing with this, you can loop this in this, like anything that lets you put something back into your hand, which I believe there's something. Yeah, so you can use like Hardened Jab to put the Seizing the Advantage back into your hand, and then you can play it again on next turn, right? Or even the same turn, because you check a 4 and then you have to check like a 6 if you play another 4 attack, which this is playing a lot of 4 attacks as well. It's just silly. It's just silly that it goes down into your I don't know, most actions removed because they don't want you to keep recurring them, but this one doesn't. It builds face down and you can add it back to your hand very easily in a character like this. So I think that's silly. I like Rapid Punches and Hardened Barrage. When I first saw these cards, I thought they were too inconsistent for what they did, but man, this being able to draw a card and this being able to unflip a foundation is both these are fantastic responses and attacks. So if you're just going wide for what you're doing, it's great. And Bruce Striker, I love this card, even though it's just a worse back alley Haymaker. Stun 2 and draw is great, especially since your character already says draw 1 twice per turn. It's not very difficult for this to on the second attack do what you need to do with it. So yeah, I don't know. That's why Kirishima is good, because it gets a lot of inherent good things with all, like, I don't know, drawing a card, destroying a foundation, and building one face down. All of these are 3 fantastic things, and having all of these on a twice per turn is a little silly. And then also the response to take half damage, which then sometimes can help you just make sure that you're in range for your quick to act and other stuff. So you probably have your own opinions about Kirishima too, but this is the best one from the event, at least placing wise, so congrats there. I do also want to shout out the top 32 list, Andrew Lucio's Fire Kirishima too, just because it was Kirishima 2, but it was on fire, so that's something different. You still get Talented Baker. You get some new cards like League Interview, which is kind of nice. Cool Student, which I like as well. And just some nice little adds to the list, too. And this is more of a Fury build, which is cool. Like, even though it's the same character, there's a widely different version of the list, too. Sealing Advantage is also on fire, so you don't have to worry about not having to run this card. You can still run this guy, too. I like Capture Evildoers, which is great on both offense and defense, and just everything else that kind of goes with it. Latent Skill is great. I don't know, like there's just a bunch of strong attacks that you get to kind of use in the build like this. Anyways, congrats to Andrew for their finish there as well. And this was Travis's list. I don't think I said that. This is Travis's Tangeman's list. Sorry, Travis, I didn't say that earlier, but this is your list, and congrats on your top 4 finish there. Next up, we have our top 8, and the only top 8 list that was not, or at least character that wasn't in the top 4, is a Su. So Asui 1. So we've been seeing this. Obviously, this has been all but banned herself, right? We did get some cards that were used in this character just get restricted from this format, but it's still really strong for what you're doing. We got a couple new cards like Prone to Dry Eyes, which being able to discard a card, your attacks get +1 damage for the rest of the turn. In a deck that just likes to play like 3 or 4 attacks and just keep going, because you get to do a lot of foundation manipulation, which is great for that too. And also, once return out this card is committed to your rival's effect, ready 2 face downs and playable while committed, just means that like it's a version of it's kind of like a stun prevention, which is great. And you already are going to have a bunch of face down foundations, so it's a good one there. Some anti-meta stuff with, we already know that Earth is really strong right now, so you saw a lot of irrefutable forces in these lists for you guys. Exhausted exclamation 2 is commit. If your character is committed, you get to draw a card too. So this is always going to be kind of committed. You get to ready it really free. And then you get to, like, you could use the effect of Asui to commit to get +2 speed, discard a kicker range if you want to play Exhausted exclamation, and then you flip it afterwards and you get to uncommit this too. So and then everything else I think is pretty standard. The attacks for water are pretty good as it is, so we don't need nothing too new there. We do have 2 recovery times to help you live, presumably, and on the defense, because Breaker 1 on a block for 1 for mid is pretty good, and plus Ultra, which is just another way to kind of live. I like recovery time. I think it's a nice little add for any deck that just kind of needs a little bit more health. It just says like -4 health sometimes, which is fine, especially in a 7-hander or just a Breaker 1 in something like water already that likes to be really obnoxious with their breakers. I think it's a cute little ad for you there. So that is going to be it for their. Congrats again to Keenan for their top 8 finish. And then going to top 16, we have Jose Norono's Kamui Woods, which is really exciting to me to see this guy. I like this guy a lot. I haven't really seen him a lot of play. But when Earth's broken, it means he's kind of broken as well. Seizing Advantage, we have Hard and Jab. We have just Rapid Punches, which I think Rapid, of the 2, I think Rapid Punch is a little bit better just because it adds to speed. So it's a 5 low for 4 inherently based off its own. And you get to draw a card, which I think drawing is a little bit better than unflipping, but you can have your own opinions on that. But it's just easier for this to do some damage because I think low blocks are not as popular in the meta right now. I think high blocks are more of the case. What else do we have here? I don't know, just pretty standard Earth cards. The card pool for this game compared to some other games I play isn't super huge, but at the same time I feel like the diversity in your decks are just exponential because of just the restrictions for it and just everything else for it. But just having a lot of defensive options, being able to commit this to give +1 damage and to your attacks, but also -1. And whenever an attack is blocked, you get to ready the character too, which I think is just strong in a lot of ways. For obviously on offense and defense, I think this is a little bit more not consistent, but just it's minimal, but just means like, oh well, if I'm going to do 3 attacks, it's going to get +1 damage. And if you block one attack, it just means the next attack that I have is going to be more powerful, right? And the same thing is that if I'm on the defense side, I can, block one, and then re-stand and then block another one, and just continually like make my opponent's damages less. And in a format where you are told that you should play as many attacks as you can in one turn, and your opponent is doing the same thing, I think Kamui is a kind of good meta call for that kind of stuff. So anyways, I think it's strong. I do see that Kirishima too in the side. I would be interested to see if they ever went into this character throughout the day, but it's a very, I don't know, it's really cool to see him in that top 16 finish. So again, congrats to Jose for their finish there. Next up, we have our top 32 Ochaco 2. So this is from John Stone, and I really do like Ochaco 2. I play a lot of Death Mineta, Mineta 2, which is pretty much like goes hand in hand with this Ochaco 2 in a lot of ways. And I think that Ochaco is just like the best like death character that we have right now. Even though there are some others, I know people are trying it, but Hulk Grimace is a card. It is a card and a half sometimes. Yes, it's a 6 check, but it says 5 mid for 10 damage. And then if they block it, seal their block, and then if it's blocked, you get to draw a card. So it's great. And then if they don't block it, guess what? That probably means they can't block it the second time either, which is very, very silly. Because guess what? It's a 7 mid for 10. So if you play this turn 1 and your opponent has nothing, you just did 20 damage to them, which means most 7-handers are already dead, which is absurd in a lot of ways. So other than that, it's a very, very tight list. Only one Evil Gaze, which is surprising to me. I love this card. It's one of my favorite cards in the entire game. Some touch of Decays. The Villainous Waylay, which is a 2 check, which is, I'd say, very greedy in a deck like this, that you want to consistently hit your 6 checks. But name a block zone. Your rival must discard a card with the name block zone. If they can't, they reveal their hand. So this can be kind of like a good like end game thing. So like, or even just like the thing to say, oh, well, do they have any mid blocks? No. Cool. And then if they do, then you get rid of it, right? This just means like you have a higher % chance to get your other cards out, which is great. But again, 2 checks I'm really scary about. Other than that, just pretty standard Ochaco Death 2 stuff. No new foundations from this format. But I don't know, just this single card. I know a lot of people are like, let's put in Ochaco 2, see what happens. And what happens is you get top 32 in the biggest event of the year. So that's kind of what happens. So congrats again to John for that finish there. And then next up we have Ojiro, which again is the only set 3 character to get a top 32 at this event, which is wild to me in this card game like this. But this is a really, I don't know, I'd say this is a less consistent version of Earth. But when this deck goes off, you are sailing pretty. This is a 52 card list. Yeah, 55 card list. And you have to be really, really tight, because you pretty much have to see this every game if you want a shot, in my experience. If any Ojiro 2 players are here in the chat, let me know. Comment below if I'm wrong, but you have to see this, because it's so important for this deck to win consistently and do enough damage. You need to see this, which kind of stinks when you don't see it. But it's a really solid card for you there, because it sets up your entire character effect. And when you're able to consistently do this effect off your character, of being able to get +1/+1 damage and speed, so you get to do +2/+2 very easily, and +3/+3 down the line very, very easily. And then also once per turn, add 1 attack from your card pool to your hand, only playable if you have 3 different printed. So it just means you can bring 1 back, and then you could play it again, which all these are busted in their own way. Back Alley Haymaker, busted. Texas Smash, great for the combo for it. And the only other thing, so the 2 things that you need to make sure you see with this list is that you need to see this card, and you need to see the different attack zones, because it depends on printed attack zones. You can't change it or anything, but it's very strong. But Karate Chop, super great as well. Your rival commits 1 foundation for each printed attack zone in your card pool, and discard a momentum as well. And then also your rival flips for foundation. This is just a good card on a 4 check. And then this makes them like, it's a stun 2, stun 3 very easily, depending on where you're at for it. And also, like, if you use Student of the Art, you can move 1 up before you use your characters or any other enhances. So it checks things ahead of you in the card pool, as well as the stuff you've already played. So anyways, and you get to run Seizing Advantage, which we've already, we know that card's busted. And 1 with Nature too. anyways, I think that's kind of the idea with it. I like this deck, and I like when this deck goes off. It is I've been turn 2 killed by this deck too many times, but it is very specific on what you see, and there's so many times where you see only highs are like some highs and lows, but no mids, just because of how it is. And you have to run a little bit attack heavy because you want to get that through. But you do get to also run rapid punches and hardened barrage, which if you get to seal one, it doesn't matter. You just have the name in there. You get some extra bonuses from it. And they're highs and lows, which are great too, just for the identity of this deck too. Anyways, that is John's. Or no, sorry, this is Ayxl's. I didn't say this is Ayxl's. Ojiro 2. Sorry, Ayxl. This is your list. Congratulations on your top there. And next up, we have the set 3 Midnight Chaos. This is still a set 1 leader, but that's the name of it. This is Pippa's list here. And I don't know a lot about this leader inherently. I know it's been out for a while, but it did get some new support from the set. So I would almost say this is set 3 leader just because of all the new support is gone from it. But enhanced commit, discard any number of cards and draw 1 for each card discard. So you just get to like refresh your hand, which is kind of nice. And also enhanced commit 1 foundation. This attack is +1 speed or -1 speed for each of the keywords, and you get to play that well committed, which is quite nice because if you do use the enhance for it to commit yourself. There you go. Which means you're playing Friend of Animals, which is super duper good with Pigeon Flock. I love this. I love playing Chaos. I've been playing a lot of it, so I need to probably check out this list a little bit more. But basic training again, cool and tough, being able to do your stuff. Easy excited. Once preparing attack is played, it gets +1 speed and gains taunt, which means you get some inherent advantage off there. You get chivalrous. You get to do requesting assistance, which is great, especially when you get to build stuff for free off your Friend of Animals. It's just a free untap. You get to use release, first aid class, and then kind of everything else with it. Evil versus good is also a really cool card. After your rival plays a non-character response, cancel it. You lose 2 health. Your next attack this turn gets -2 difficulty and +2 damage, which is cool. That's a low block. You also have Summon Dark Shadow for ally stuff because you are running Dark Shadow Ruin and everything else. So like, even though I'm almost surprised like there's not a Tokoyami in the side here for it, but. You're just a chaos list that also likes to play with your character committed, which is nice. And I'm surprised that we're not seeing more of the new foundations from the set from it, besides just like Easily Excited, but it's fine. It's what it is. Twisting Azure Inferno also is really good. Since if you play actions like Evil versus Good, you get to do some really nice stuff with it. And you get the speed with it too. I don't know. You just with running some Dark Shadow and playing Twisting Azure, it just makes sense. Any other just ally foundations? Only Friend of Animals. Wild, and nothing else ally. I guess Dark Shadow Ruin is also ally, so you can get some extra bonus damage from it. I don't know. That is. You do get to commit a foundation, so when you commit this, you get to give +2 speed to something on top of +1 other speed, so you can just use this to commit Friend of Animals to get a bunch of speed and make it almost unblockable, which is kind of cool there. Anyways, that is the deck there. Congrats again to Pippa for their finish. 2 more decks to go. We do have a Mineta 2. You guys know I love Mineta 2. You know I love him on Death and sometimes on Evil, but this is the Water version. And Water is in a... I don't know. Invisible Infiltration is such a great card. It's probably I still think it's busted, even outside of the Invisible Girl. Like it's such a strong card. Being able to reset one of your foundations when that card can be sticky balls. Like you can say, all right, first attack, sticky balls. Or sorry, Mineta Enhance, bring a foundation down. Sticky balls, bring a second foundation down. Invisible Infiltration, get rid of sticky balls as the foundation, bring it back. At the start of the next turn, get a third foundation. And then I'll just casually do Tongue Whip. So that's 4 foundations that you just stuffed into your opponent's card pool. And unless they're super duper side against it, which most people aren't, they're in a really bad spot. Like Tongue Whip is crazy good at just ending the game because it says, okay, well, if you have 4 there, this is actually a 9 damage. And you probably can't block it because you have 4 progressives for it. And then if I play a second one, I probably win. So It's strong. I think it's a valid way to do it. It's not like the traditional throw heavy stall thing, because I don't think control and stall works as well as it did in set 2. I think decks are a little bit too aggressive and fast for that to happen. You do have a like cheerful uppercut, which also stuffs your opponent's card pool, which is great. Great pressures is great. Grasping tape toss, tape swing, both of these are water. It's a 2-check. I hate 2 checks. I'll say it. It's my biased opinion there. Also, the Kamui Woods in the side too. I'd love to see if this was ever sided in. It's really interesting to see a 5-hander side into a 7-hander or vice versa. So I think it's really funny there. And then just standard water stuff. No real foundation besides basic training. Apparently basic training is like the best new foundation they printed in the set, because all the top 32 decks can run it if they can. So, and that's about it. Sports Festival Stadium is also really interesting too. So after a player takes damage from attack, they lose 1 health. And when you're playing a really long grind game and your character says, I have 31 health, that's usually in your favor. So, and commit after your rival blocks your attack, they discard their block and you get to draw a card, which is usually pretty good and worth it, because with the, when you stuff their card pool like you do, usually means that anytime they block, they have to commit stuff anyways. So the draw in a deck that literally has no other draw besides your enhanced discard 1 momentum is probably fine. Anyways, congrats to Kyle. Right, I'm not sure if I said this was Kyle's list, but this is Kyle's list. Congrats to Kyle there. And lastly, we have Michael's Life Ochaco 1. This deck, I don't know a lot about this deck. There's like Bewildered is the new card, and Wind Up Punch. And there's a cute little combo you get to do with this, because with the Meteor Shower, you have to discard 1 card. It's an enhance from your momentum, which is great, and really not a lot of ways to interact with it. But you discard the momentum, discard 1 card, you add this card from your hand from your momentum. So you discard a 1, so then your Wind Up Punch gets stunned too, right? So that's cute. It's a nice little thing you can do off it. And just everything else is just Ochaco 1 stuff. So with the idea that you add cards to your momentum, and then you can do like a big home run comment at the end if you want to. And if you have 1 or more momentum, your attack is +1 speed, and you can add a momentum to your hand if you want to. It's very easy for this deck to build momentum. That's kind of like the whole thing with it. And so being able to do that just means you get a bunch of stuff from it. So I don't think there's as many like control decks that are worried about that momentum stuff. So that is really, I don't have a lot of insights for this deck, unfortunately, but it's neat and it's cool that there's another Ochaco in this top 32. But that is going to be it for me. I've been talking a long time about this top 32, and I'm ready to stop. And you probably aren't even watching this anyway. So if you are, hi, thank you for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll catch you all next time.